All right. Hello, guys. This is my second daily podcast, you could say. And today I'm gonna be talking about bad habits, my bad habits, and also at the same time I'm gonna be talking about but what was happening in my life and the inspiration that I just got out of I was watching and I was listening to Joe Rogan's and featuring Bill Burr's podcast, and it's on GRE experience, and yeah, so I was watching them, and I just got this inspiration of talking about bad habits. So yeah, talking about bad habits, I think everybody goes through the same thing. Bad habits are always there, and people just, I guess, they sometimes couldn't get out of bad habits. You know, it's just like bad habits are. It's people actually know that they are bad habits, but usually because those bad habits are easy to do, could be playing games. Depending on the people and the perspective, playing games in itself could be good, but at the same time, if you're not a pro player, then it could just be your hobby. Or if you're not doing something, doing a job or anything that's got to do with playing games, then it could only be a hobby for you. I'm not saying that you shouldn't play games, but if you already think that it takes too much time on your life, then I think you should stop playing them. At least decompress yourself out of playing them, right? So yeah, back again talking about bad habits. So yeah, usually bad habits will be, I think, in my opinion, bad habits will be all of those actions, all of those activities, all of those activities that are hindering you from doing what you should be doing. Because although they can be done, like it's not bad to have fun, and it's not bad to spend your time decompressing all of the stress that you have accumulated over the week, for example. It's not bad to do that. It's actually pretty good to just really decompress. But if you're focusing too much on decompressing and you're forgetting yourself and forgetting what's what's the thing that you should be doing, what's the main thing, I think that would be bad for you. That's just what's happening with me currently. Currently, I am focusing too much on reading novels, light novels, and it's not that it's bad in itself, I mean, those light novels, if we're only seeing it as a literature work, then they are good. I mean, they are really good. The storytellings are good, but they take too much time from me, especially whenever I got something to do. I would I would most of the time I would be either sleeping or reading light novels. And I think these two actions are my unconscious, you could say my unconscious action that I would usually take in order to run away from my responsibility. And I think every people, everyone are experiencing the same thing. It's it's like escapism. It's escapism. It's an escapism. Playing games, basically decompressing in itself is to escape from the usual happening around the world, around your life. And personally, I think they are bad but good at the same time. They are bad because they can take your time. They can basically You're basically being delusioned by all of those activities, thinking that this is all right. But when you dive into far into it, you will find out that it's not actually all right for you to be doing that, because you're not a pro player, you're not a pro reader, you're not a writer either, probably, and you're basically just escaping from what you have to do. So it's got to be balanced. I think it's got to be balanced. In my opinion, it's got to be balanced. And I'm trying to do that. it's only been, I guess, 3 days, 3 until 2 days, since the first day that that I started trying to balance them. Yeah. So yeah, it's been only 3 until 2 days. So it's pretty funny now that I think back on it. Though it's only been 3 days, but yeah, it's I think when you're trying to, in these 3 days, I think 2 days, in these 2 days, in the last 2 days, um, yeah, I can feel that I'm actually improving, how I'm using my time, how I allocate my priorities, my agendas, and at the same time, I'm having a problem of stopping myself from reading again, reading those light novels. And I think this is what's people are going to be having problems with when they're starting out stopping themselves from their bad habits. They're going to be, I guess, they're going to be confused of what they got to do. Uh, of what they got to do when they stop. And when they stop, after that, usually for the first day, at least what I am feeling now, is for the earlier days, it's like I think people will be confused because they are basically trying to get out of their bad habits, and those bad habits are the normal thing that they would usually do. And it's like, again, it's a bad habit. It already became a habit sometimes in the past, and because they kept doing that, it's just became ingrained in their head. So I think I think people would have that, you know. And this is me talking from my own personal experience, because I had, and I'm still having, I'm still having the same problem that I'm having. Yeah, I'm having a little problem in controlling myself, because this is still, like the earlier days of me stopping myself from reading too much. But at the same time, I know that sometimes to I need to get out of my usual routine. I need to get out of the stresses. But what I had been doing before was focusing more on the sleeping and the reading, and I was neglecting what I have to do. So that's that needs to change. And I think people, if they think really hard on it, they would know that what I'm saying is right, because I don't really know if other people are experiencing the same thing as I do. But I know for sure that if there are other people out there who are feeling the same way as I do now, you know that you need to stop. And the only thing that's stopping you is yourself, because that was what happening with me. And yeah, I was thinking too much. I was thinking too much. I was trying to search for ways of how do I, I was asking questions myself, like, how do I stop doing this? How do I get out of this bad habit? And in the end, it didn't happen. I was not getting out at all. I was thinking that maybe, oh yeah, because now I'm starting to think about how to get out of this problem. That means that I'm closer of getting out of this problem, or from this problem. And that's not the case, though. I think thinking too much, in my opinion, thinking too much, as an overthinker myself, thinking too much is just going to get you nowhere. You're not going to get anything, and that's why you shouldn't think too much. I'm not saying that you shouldn't think, but you shouldn't think too much, because when you think too much, at least from my experience, when you think too much, in my opinion, you are trying to be perfect. You're trying to control the outcome, right? Like, makes sense, right? Like, you're trying to plan out, okay, so I'm trying to do this. So what action do I have to take? And then you will, after that, after you decided what actions you'd be taking, then you would imagine again after that what would happen. And then, you're just going to make all of these scenarios would that could happen, but at the same time it could also not happen. So it's 50-50, basically 0-0%. And in the end, usually, more usually than not, in the end, it doesn't happen. it doesn't happen. All of those plans that you have planned out so perfectly, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Sounds perfect, yes, when you were planning, but it doesn't happen. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't plan things out. You shouldn't think, or you shouldn't, you shouldn't really think about what you're going to do. But I'm saying that you shouldn't think too much. You should just think to the point where you can start, where you already have the image, where you can visualize where you're going, where you want to go, where you want to go, and then after that, just go. Because it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be. When you plan things out, and even, sometimes I think there are things, at least this is what I'm taking, okay? So I'm just going to say this, that I'm not advising people to follow my what I'm doing, because I don't think that this is the most correct perspective and most correct action to take. But this is the action that I am taking now. I'm just sharing what I'm taking now. So yeah, so from my own problem, what I decided to do was, I decided to not think too much about it, because in the end I thought about it, and it makes sense that, even someone who has planned out everything, and then take action, he wouldn't be receiving everything according to his plans, you know. And at the same time, the one who hasn't taken any action would also get the same thing. He wouldn't get anything according to his plan, especially because he hasn't planned yet. But the point is, from this contemplation of mine, is that yes, you should. I think you should make direction for yourself, but you shouldn't think too much about it. At least for me, I shouldn't think too much about it. I should just, yes, think about it, but only to the point where I can start. Only to the point where I can just start whatever it is that I'm trying to do. So after I've already, I don't know, you say, after I've done the preliminary research, after I've done all of the researches, all of the thinking behind the actions, all of those things. After I've done them, I think it would be better for me to just take the action, because it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to give me anything thinking more than that, because what I had been doing was, after I've gotten to the point where I can start, I had been still trying to force myself to think about what would happen after that. What would happen after that too? Like, what would happen if this go there, if this goes south? So yeah, I was basically trying to plan out everything, and basically it was me trying to focus on controlling the outcome. When the outcome is uncontrolled, it's just illogical to control the outcome. We wouldn't know what's going to happen in the future. We wouldn't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We even wouldn't know what's going to happen an hour from now. So yeah, in the end, it's just take action, take the action. I think I should be taking actions after I've gotten to the point where I can, yeah, where I can just take the action. I guess that's it for the podcast for today. Hopefully, hopefully that all of you guys who are listening to this podcast get something out of this, out of my experience, and out of my view on it. So that's all from me. Ciao. Goodbye. Peace out. I don't know. I haven't thought about my outro yet, but I guess, yeah. See you on our next podcast.